I guess it started with good intentions, like most disasters do. My name's Dave. I'm 38, work as a regional warehouse manager for a chain of home improvement stores. I've been married to Amy for 9 years. We've got one kid, Ethan, he just turned 5. And up until about 6 months ago, I thought my life was about as close to normal as it gets. Amy's always been the energetic one. Always moving, always signing up for new things. Spin classes, meal plans, book clubs, yoga in the park, all of it. Me? I work. I bring in most of the income, and by the time I get home, I'm usually too fried to do much of anything besides helping Ethan with his toys or watching reruns of old cooking shows we never cook from. We're not broken. At least, we weren't. But I'm not blind either. I could feel something shifting between us, slowly, like the way fall creeps in, a little colder each day, and you can't quite say when summer left. It started when Amy said she wanted to get serious about her fitness again. Now, this isn't new. She's been in and out of workout kicks since we met. Sometimes it lasts a few weeks, sometimes a few months. I always support her. Hell, I bought her that fancy rowing machine that's still collecting dust in the garage. But this time felt different. She joined a private fitness studio downtown. Small group classes, personal training, nutritional coaching, the whole 9 yards. She said it was better than the gym because it was more focused and less intimidating. I didn't think much of it. In fact, I was proud of her. She seemed excited again, motivated. She even started prepping meals for the both of us, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy the healthier dinners and her sudden interest in doing date nights again. For the first few weeks, it felt like we were reconnecting. But then, things started to change. She became obsessed with working out. If she wasn't at the studio, she was meal prepping, or watching fitness influencers, or texting someone on her phone and laughing at messages she wouldn't let me see. That last part? That's when I started feeling it. She said it was just a group chat from her fitness class, people sharing recipes, tips, progress pics. Totally harmless. And I wanted to believe her. God, I did. Because I know what it feels like to become the jealous husband. And I didn't want to be that guy. So I shrugged it off. I told myself I was being paranoid. That she was just finding her groove again. That if I accused her of anything, without proof, it would blow up in my face and ruin the good thing we were rebuilding. But the signs kept coming. Late workouts that didn't match the class schedule. New leggings and sports bras I'd never seen before, tags still on them sometimes. Taking a second shower before bed, even if she didn't seem sweaty. And then there was the trainer. Zach. Zach was young. Like, too young for a married woman in her 30s to be giggling about. But Amy talked about him like he was some kind of guru. Zach says this, Zach says that. At first I played along, joking about her man crush, but then it stopped being funny. Because one night, she came home late from a private session, and I swear she looked guilty. She kissed Ethan goodnight and came to sit next to me on the couch. I asked her how the session went, and she just said, it was fine. Tiring. But she wouldn't look me in the eyes when she said it. I didn't press. I didn't want to start a fight over a hunch. But deep down, I knew. Something was happening, and I was just too scared to admit it. I think every married man hits that point. That moment when a quiet voice in the back of your head asks, what if she's not where she says she is? For me, that moment came on a random Thursday night. Amy said she had a late training session with Zach. Not the usual group class, just her and him, one-on-one. Said he was helping her correct her form on some lifts or something. I nodded, told her, have fun. Kissed her on the forehead. But the second she left, I opened my laptop. I wasn't proud of it. I didn't even know what I was looking for, but I checked the studio's schedule. The public one. There were no private sessions listed, obviously, but I noticed something odd. Zach was teaching a small group bootcamp class that night at the same time Amy said she had a private session with him. So either the schedule was out of date, or she lied to me. That one detail opened a floodgate in my mind. It was like everything I'd brushed off over the past month hit me at once. The missed calls. The way she'd start typing something in her phone, then lock the screen when I walked in. The way her mood would shift at night, sometimes giddy and affectionate, sometimes distant and distracted. I tried to tell myself it was all innocent. Maybe Zach rescheduled the bootcamp or had someone else cover for him. But now I needed to know. And needing to know is a dangerous thing. I downloaded a location sharing app, the kind families use for safety or when they travel. Set it up on my phone and sent Amy an invite. I played it off as casual when I mentioned it later. Told her I thought it'd be good for peace of mind, especially with how often she was driving late now. She smiled and said, "Yeah, that makes sense." But 2 days went by, and she still hadn't accepted the invite. So that Saturday, I did something I thought I'd never do. I opened her laptop while she was in the shower. It was already logged in, she rarely logged out of anything. I wasn't even looking for anything specific. Maybe an email, a calendar note. I just wanted something. Some sliver of truth that could tell me I wasn't losing my mind. Instead, I found a message. Facebook Messenger. She'd been talking to someone named Z. That's all it showed in the sidebar. Z. But the last message she sent was just 2 words. Miss you. I clicked it, but the conversation was gone. Deleted. Just that 2-word message, still sitting in the preview bar. Taunting me. I felt sick. It could have been Zach. It probably was Zach, but I had no proof. Not really. Nothing solid enough to confront her. And I knew if I came at her now, she'd say I was being paranoid. She'd call me insecure, and maybe I was. So I closed the laptop, walked back to the kitchen, poured myself a drink, and when she walked out of the shower in her bathrobe, hair still wet, I smiled. Like nothing was wrong, because what else was I supposed to do? You can't accuse someone of something that might not be true. You can't unsay words that cross a line. You can't come back from, "I don't trust you," without proof. And yet, I didn't trust her, not anymore. The thing about suspicion is that once it takes root, it doesn't sit still. It grows. And after that night, after seeing that "miss you" message, I couldn't unsee it. I couldn't look at Amy the same. The next week, I watched her more carefully. I noticed things I had probably seen before, but never really noticed. Like how she suddenly started dressing up, not just for the gym, but after. She'd come home from a supposed workout, take a quick shower, and change into something cute. Jeans that fit just right. Little earrings she hadn't worn in years. Subtle makeup. It wasn't for me. I asked her once, casually, "You heading out?" She said, "Just running errands. Target, maybe Trader Joe's." I nodded, didn't press. But when she came back 2 hours later, I looked in the trunk. Nothing but a single bag of protein bars and oat milk. Now, that might sound petty. But if you're married long enough, you know when something's off. She wasn't running errands. She was running from something, or to someone. That Friday, I finally got what I thought I wanted. Proof. She left for the gym around 6 p.m. Said she had a quick lift with Zach, and then was stopping by a smoothie place after. Told me not to wait up for dinner. But this time, I checked the tracker I secretly installed in her car. It wasn't at the gym. It was parked in front of an apartment complex, one I didn't recognize, on the other side of town. I sat there on the couch for 20 minutes, staring at the blinking red dot on my screen. I had her location. I had a timestamp. But I didn't have the guts to go. Instead, I grabbed Ethan's baby monitor from the bedroom. He was already asleep, and I just sat in the hallway, in the dark, watching it. Listening to the white noise and wondering what the hell my wife was doing in someone else's apartment. And why she hadn't texted me once. She came home a little after 9. I stayed quiet, pretended to be half asleep on the couch. She walked in, still in her workout leggings. Hair pulled back, but with lip gloss. A detail that stood out, because no one wears lip gloss after a workout. She leaned down to kiss me. I turned my head, just slightly. Enough that her lips caught my cheek. She paused, then said, "Everything okay?" "Yeah," I mumbled. "Just tired." "Okay," she said, too quickly. "I'm gonna shower." I listened to the water run upstairs while I sat there, staring at the baby monitor, wondering what kind of man I'd become. A husband with GPS trackers. A man who sits in silence instead of speaking his heart. But I wasn't ready, not yet, because once you cross that line, once you say it out loud, everything changes. You can't go back, and I wasn't sure I was ready to lose her. Not yet. The next few days, I tried to act normal. I smiled when I needed to. I played with Ethan, cooked dinner twice, even folded the laundry, things I used to do without thinking. Now everything felt calculated, like I was trying to keep a mask from slipping. Amy didn't seem to notice. Or maybe she did, and she just didn't care. What really broke me, what really did it, was what happened that Sunday. We were at the park with Ethan. He was on the swings, laughing, begging us to push him higher. I was standing on one side, Amy on the other. For a second, it felt like old times. Her hair was in a loose braid, she had on that faded denim jacket I always liked. She was smiling, and then her phone buzzed. She pulled it out, glanced down, and instantly, her expression changed. Just a flicker, barely noticeable, unless you were watching closely. But I was. She turned away slightly, started typing fast. Not with one hand. Not the casual kind of texting you do when it's your sister or your coworker. This was both thumbs. Focused. Private. I watched Ethan twist in the swing and shout, "Mommy, push me." She didn't hear him. She was lost in that phone, smiling now, soft and subtle. That was the moment something inside me snapped. I pushed Ethan one last time and said, "Hey buddy, let's go get some ice cream." He cheered. Amy looked up, startled, like she'd forgotten where she was. "You guys go ahead," she said. "I'll walk home." I just nodded. And I knew, in that moment, she didn't even try to lie. She didn't say she had to make a call, or stop by the store, or do anything at all. She just wanted to be alone. Probably to keep texting whoever was more important than her own son. That night, I checked the tracker again. Same address, same pattern, and I finally admitted it to myself. I was no longer her husband. I was her roommate, her fallback plan. The guy who paid the mortgage and helped raise her child while she played out some fantasy in secret. That's when I finally did what I'd been avoiding. I called my brother. Now, I haven't told many people about this. I haven't told my parents. I haven't told Ethan's godparents. But my brother? He's been through this before. His ex-wife cheated on him when their kid was 2. And for a while, I remember thinking he handled it like a cold bastard. But now I understood. He picked up on the second ring. "What's going on, man?" he asked. And all I said was, "I think Amy's cheating on me." Silence. Then, "You think? Or you know?" "I'm almost sure." He didn't say "I'm sorry." He didn't say "Are you okay?" He just said, "You need to be smart about this. Don't confront her yet." I leaned back in my chair, gripping the phone like a lifeline. "I don't want to be this guy," I said. "Tracking her, snooping, watching her lie to my face." "You don't have to stay that guy forever," he told me. "But right now, you need the truth. Because the second you show your cards, she'll spin it. Trust me." And that's when the plan started forming. I was done waiting for the truth to fall into my lap. If she was crossing lines behind my back, then I was done pretending I didn't see it. I didn't want revenge. I wanted clarity. I wanted to know who my wife really was, and what I was going to do next. I didn't sleep much that week. Every night I'd lie in bed next to her, pretending to be asleep while she stared at her phone under the covers. The light from her screen lit up her face, soft and blue, and I watched her expression, blank, sometimes smiling, sometimes furrowing her brow. Every now and then, she'd shift the phone away from me, just slightly, like it was second nature. That's what haunted me the most. How natural the deception had become. By Thursday, I made a decision. I borrowed a spare security camera from work, one of those motion-activated nanny cam types we use in our warehouses. Small, quiet, records to a hidden SD card. I told myself it was just a precaution. I just wanted to see if she left the house when she said she was going to the gym. Just verify it, once and for all. I set it up near the entryway, hidden in an old Wi-Fi router box on the shelf. Motion activated, covered the living room too, just in case. And then I waited. Friday night, same routine. Amy said she had another training session. She kissed Ethan on the forehead, grabbed her gym bag, and left with a quick, "Love you," tossed over her shoulder. I didn't answer, just smiled and waved from the couch. Then I sat in silence. I didn't look at the tracker this time. I didn't need to. I let the camera do its job. The next morning, I waited until she left for brunch with her friend, or whoever it was now, and I pulled the SD card from the camera. And there it was, timestamp. 7:12 p.m. Amy walks out the front door in her gym clothes. Timestamp. 9:03 p.m. Amy comes back in, and she's not alone. Zach. I didn't need to guess. I'd seen him once at a fitness expo Amy dragged me to last year. He looked even younger than I remembered. Late 20s, maybe. Confident, hoodie, joggers, gym bag slung over his shoulder like he owned the world. They walked in like it was routine. Amy locked the door behind them. She laughed at something he said, touched his arm. Then she led him toward the stairs. The footage didn't show what happened after that. It didn't need to. I sat there in the dining room, still holding the SD card in my hand, like it weighed 100 pounds. My wife brought him into our home. The same house where we raise our son. The same couch where Ethan and I watched cartoons together that morning. And she smiled the whole time. Like she wasn't sneaking around. Like she wasn't ripping our life apart piece by piece. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even move. I just sat there, staring at the frozen frame of her holding the door open for him. That was the moment everything changed. The suspicion was gone. The doubt was gone. This was real. It was happening. And now I had to decide what kind of man I was going to be. The kind who explodes, who burns everything down, or the kind who protects what matters most, his kid, and handles this with purpose. Because make no mistake, I wasn't just losing my wife. I was about to lose the life I thought I had. I didn't confront her right away. That might sound strange, especially after seeing what I saw. But part of me, the part that still remembered our wedding day, the birth of our son, the mornings we used to laugh making breakfast, that part just wanted to understand. So I waited. I let a full day pass. We went to the grocery store like nothing was wrong. We played with Ethan in the backyard. I grilled burgers and watched her sip iced tea like it was any other Saturday. She looked so normal, so calm. It made me feel crazy. That night, after we put Ethan to bed, we sat on the back patio. The sky was clear, and I watched the smoke from her candle drift into the air. She was scrolling her phone again. I turned to her and said, as gently as I could, "Are you happy?" She looked up, confused. "What do you mean?" "In general," I said. "With us. With everything." She gave a short laugh, like she wasn't sure if it was a trick question. "I mean, yeah, I guess." "Why?" I nodded slowly. I could feel my heartbeat in my throat. Then I said, "I saw you on the camera, Amy." Her face dropped, not just in fear, it was like her whole body froze. Like she hadn't prepared for this moment because she didn't think it would come. "I didn't mean to spy," I added quickly. I needed to know. I needed to stop wondering." She sat there in silence for what felt like hours. Then she whispered, "How much did you see?" "Enough," I said. She looked away. Her hands were shaking. And then the part that still hoped, still wanted her to say it was just once, that it was a mistake, that it didn't mean anything. That part of me waited for her to say something human. What she said instead was, "I didn't think you'd ever find out." That hit me harder than any confession. Not, "I'm sorry." Not, "It didn't mean anything." Not, "Please don't leave." Just that, she didn't think I'd ever know. Which meant she was never planning to stop. "I didn't plan it," she said after a long silence. "It just happened." I didn't say anything. I couldn't. She kept talking. "Zach, he listens. He makes me feel seen. He compliments me. He's not tired all the time. He doesn't look through me." I finally looked at her then. "You mean like I do?" She didn't answer. And for the first time, I felt something colder than anger. Something worse than betrayal. I felt done. "I gave you everything," I said quietly. "I trusted you. I believed in you. And I would have done anything to fix what we had." "I didn't mean to hurt you," she whispered. "But you did," I said. "And not just me. You brought him into our home, Amy. Into the house where our son sleeps. That's not a mistake. That's a choice." She started crying then. Maybe from guilt. Maybe from the realization that it was all out now. That she couldn't hide behind the routine anymore. But I didn't reach for her. I didn't wipe her tears. I just stood up, walked back inside, and closed the door behind me. And for the first time in weeks, I felt clear. That night, I slept in the guest room. I didn't tell her to leave. I didn't scream. I didn't threaten anything. I just grabbed a pillow and closed the door behind me. She didn't come after me. The next morning, we moved around the house like two strangers sharing the same space. She packed Ethan's lunch. I helped him find his sneakers. We both kissed him goodbye before preschool drop-off, but she kissed his cheek, and I kissed his forehead. I don't know why, but it felt different. Like I needed to protect something still pure in this house. After I dropped him off, I called a lawyer. Not because I wanted revenge. Not because I wanted to win. But because I needed structure. I needed someone who could guide me through what came next, step by step, because honestly, I was running on fumes. That week, I told Amy I wanted space. I didn't demand full custody. I didn't throw her out. I just said I couldn't live like this anymore. I told her she could stay at the house during the week with Ethan, and I'd crash at my brother's for a while. We'd alternate weekends until we figured out something better. She nodded. No fight. No, but I love you, speech. Just quiet resignation. That said it all. The hardest part was explaining it to Ethan. He's too young to understand the details, but he noticed something was off. Why isn't mommy and daddy eating dinner together? Why are you sleeping at Uncle Nick's? I told him, sometimes grown-ups need space to think. But I love you. We both love you. That'll never change. He nodded, but I could see it bothered him. That's what broke me the most. Not the affair, not even the lies, but the way this was going to change his life forever. I still think about that a lot. It's been 3 months now. The divorce is in motion. Amy moved into a small apartment near her work. I kept the house, mostly for Ethan's sake, so he'd still have a room that felt familiar, a yard he could play in, and a dad who showed up for him no matter what. As for Zach, she doesn't talk about him. I haven't asked. I don't need to know. I'm focused on rebuilding. For myself. For my son. I started therapy. I took a leave from work. I even started running in the mornings, something I hadn't done since college. It clears my head, makes me feel like I'm moving forward, even when everything else still feels heavy. Some nights, when Ethan's asleep, I sit on the porch and think about how close I came to living a lie forever. How easy it is to ignore the signs when you're afraid of what they'll confirm. But now I'm choosing truth, even when it hurts, because it's better to rebuild from something real than pretend with something broken. And maybe, just maybe, someday I'll be ready to let someone in again. Someone who doesn't lie, who doesn't hide, who knows what loyalty means. But for now, it's just me and my boy. And that's more than enough.